This is a Culture Inject production.
You know, the outfit was me. But anyways, Jonathan, what is your second favorite performance?
So the second favorite one is My Lovin' at the VMAs. And this was the performance where they were in all black, and I think they had like lace tops. All I can say is Maxine and Dawn were on fire. Like, that was a level of energy and synergy, and like it was everything. Like, it was just raw, and they were like, you could feel the hunger. They wanted to get on that stage and perform. And they did that. And one of the things I love about En Vogue performances is how they're able to just, you know, for that, they didn't have any extra background singers or dancers, or it was just the four of them giving it all that they've got. Maxine had her little fro with a little curl to it. Dawn had her bob, and they were just going for it.
So this is the one where there's the part where it's like, gave you many chances to make, and then they like kind of pause, and then like they come back in.
They all that thing you change with love.
Yeah, like in the beginning, I think the host of the show, and it was like, "You're never gonna get it," and they come out and they're just like posing for a minute.
Is Dennis Miller? Is it the MTV Movie Awards from 1992? Because I know in 1992, the VMAs, they did Free Your Mind.
Okay, so I think it was the Movie Awards.
I love that one too. That's a really good one. I would say because of the band. I think that's what, like, all the performances that we're saying, I'm thinking the band doesn't get enough love. And of course, we don't know who the band is. We don't know who the band members are. But I think that's what kind of separates their performances that were good from what were great, because that band just gives it the extra kick. And so I love how they interacted with the band in that performance. With gave you what? Because first it's like da 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 da, and then I remember Terry walks out, and then she kind of touches Dennis Miller. Then they all kind of walk out from a different point of the stage. Okay, yeah. So it's like, the band is like the secret weapon, the silent killer. Like, you always need a good band behind you. And, yeah, so I think that really drove it. And like you said, they looked great. I remember Dawn looked like, I don't know, maybe there was like a track missing or something, but she kept swinging her head around. I was like, Dawn, stop swinging your head around.
That bob, and it was like, I mean, they're trendsetters, because that she had the asymmetrical bob. She was whipping that bob.
I can't say enough. Like, this is a really, 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 really good performance. It's just so funky, and it's like, was the tempo faster or something? Like, it probably is.
It was a lot of energy in that performance, and to be honest, like, I can't really say. I mean, you know, when you do a song 101 times, you're not going to give it the best that you got every time. But I think this may have been one of the earlier times where they performed My Lovin', because they were giving it like. They were super excited to be in the building that night.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I love how in that era, how even though they performed the songs multiple times on different platforms, they all seemed different though. You know, like, cause even with the My Lovin', like, they performed that at, you know, the Grammys, and it was a different thing. Like, they didn't even sing the vocals. It was pre-recorded because it was more of a showpiece, you know. So I love the fact that every single performance felt different. One, because obviously they wore different outfits. You didn't know what kind of look they were going to give you. They added a part. They added a breakdown. So I like that. You know, now some artists, they do the same thing over and over. Same track, same breakdown, same outfit. Same pre-recorded vocals, nothing new. It's just you're getting the same performance on several different platforms. So I love like that era with En Vogue and even other artists, how they would always find a way to reinvent.
I love Doja Cat.
You know, Doja Cat. I finally listened to her album, by the way, and I love it or whatever. But I'm like, but I know that when she was performing her single, I forgot what it was called. Say So. But literally, she was doing like her promo of that on all these different award shows, and she always had a different genre rendition of Say So. I remember one was like, it was jazzy, another one was like rock, another one I was like, sis, you better come with these different renditions. And I feel like we don't get a lot of variety with that anymore, unless you're like this top tier artist. But to see En Vogue do this like in the beginning of their career is another reason what makes them iconic. So what's your top?
Well, you gave me a perfect segue. You gave me a perfect segue because Doja Cat actually performed at this award show that En Vogue was at. And she did Say So. I feel like she did a medley, which I always love a good medley. She did Say So. I forget the other two songs, but it was kind of like Chicago. And so she, yeah.
Yes,
what was it? Juicy.
Yes.
One of them had to be Juicy. I keep it juicy. And of course, Say So. And I forget the third song, but it was just so theatrical. And I was like, okay, this is the best performance of the night until En Vogue came and did Free Your Mind. So this was the 2020 Billboard Music Awards.
Billboard. They closed the show.
They closed the show with Free Your Mind. And
Billboard.
and for me, I mean, like I said, a band, you need a band. Like when there's a pre-recorded track, I feel like that kind of, I mean, you can still give a good performance, but you really have to like be on it, like for me to even kind of rate it. And so I think all of the performances that I picked there, they had a live band, but this one in particular, because it was a band of three Black women, who were kind of prominent on the stage, like you saw them, like that just made it, you know, even more special. And the lead guitarist, she came out and did her solo, so that always makes it exciting because I just love the interaction between musicians and the band. Of course, if they're not a part of the band, like if the musician is separate from the band, I still like to see interaction. I like a break, you know. It's just that there's just a certain magic to that. Sure. And so the band was prominent in it. They looked great. I like the outfits. I like the hair. I was kind of worried because I saw the red carpet and they just weren't giving anything. And I know we were in the midst of a pandemic, but I was just like, oh my God, I hope they gave them a budget. And they did. They looked great. The band was great. And overall, I would say, like we were talking about Doja Cat, who's a new artist. She probably came out no earlier than 2015, and to be performing on the same stage with a Doja Cat and with, you know, all of BTS and all those people that are hot, and you have a song from 1992, it's 2020, and the producers of the show feel that it's so relevant that you could close out the show in an election year, in a pandemic year. All of this is going on, and they're like, we need Free Your Mind by En Vogue. The song is nearly 30 years old. We're going to bring En Vogue back. They look great. Then you get all of these reviews, Entertainment Weekly calling it the best show of the night. Like the press was so good. So to see that in real time, it was just so gratifying. As a fan who's been rooting for them and just wanting them to win so bad, they definitely won that night. They looked great. They sounded great. And there's just something to be said for longevity. So I appreciate the performances where, you know, they're in their 20s and just starting. There's a special magic to that. But then to be in the game so long and still be at the top of your game, I give it up to the Gladys Knights and the Shirley Bassies and all the people who can come out on a big night and deliver. And En Vogue is now in that category.
to piggyback, their red carpet look was definitely like a little bit lackluster. Simply because 2 years before when they performed with Salt and Pepper, like their red carpet look was very, very fun. It was like that artsy looking like metallic color. I think Rona was wearing like this really pastel orange bodysuit with like it was embellished. Like they just look really fresh, really, really cute. But then it comes down like, okay, maybe they're like coming to be cute, to say hi, to go backstage and really put on their outfits. Because of course on the stage, they look great. Like Terry with those little like scary spice buns at the top and the hair coming out, I thought was a great touch. So they look great. I mean, it's obvious that the girls love black. Love black and silver. Which I kind of want them to get out of and like give us more color on stage, you know. But I mean, you can't go wrong with black because there's always a black. You can do anything with black. I get it, but I do want them to kind of give me some color.
But I am with you. Like I love color, and so maybe that's why when you said your performance when they had the all pink, like, and then JP's where they had like all different colors and it was like multicolored. Yeah, like I would like to see more of that, but that black must be their power color. You know,
so that would be great. I just wanted to wear some more color because I'm the black and silver is getting a little bit.
I agree.
Redundant.
Yes.
But so my top performance. Well, so I love the fact that you did a performance in this era. You know, because I think all the performances that we chose are from like back in the day, with even before in their prime, whatever. So I love that we were able to give them some flowers for recently. My favorite performance of all time is actually the Rosie O'Donnell show. When they performed Whatever.
I'm wanting you too much. Don't take advantage of my tender heart and everything about me. In giving you my trust, I'm giving you my love. So do take care, be gentle with my heart.
And it was with a live band. Maxine was wearing her signature natural hair, and this time it was platinum blonde. The girls were wearing like different color like blouses, spaghetti strap blouses, and just leather pants. They look really cute, really fun, really sporty. But baby, them live vocals were on point. Cindy's vocals like hit all those high notes and everything I do is over you. All that. I'm like, baby, she sounded phenomenal. Like that performance to me is like top tier, especially them being in the EB3 era without Dawn. I feel like it's kind of like, yes, Dawn is gone, but we can still sing. We're still in Vogue. We still got it. Nothing has changed. So I love the fact that even at the end of the performance, it went into this kind of like funk beat to it, and you can kind of see how Max got really into it because I guess I have my live band. It really changes the mood of the song. So it went into this like bump, 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 dump, the bump, bump, and I was like, okay, this is funky. So I love that. That's my favorite performance. I literally watch that at least once a month. At least once a month, because Whatever is one of my favorite En Vogue songs, anyways. But yeah, that performance is very top tier to me.
I love how Rosie always showed them so much love because they were on her show. I don't know how long her show ran, but they have a couple of performances on there all the way up until Riddle.
For sure. Thank you, Rosie. You recognize the queens.
I used to love watching Rosie. I used to stay home from school and watch Rosie.
Okay.
I think that's a gay boy thing because I feel like Rosie always had like, if nobody else was going to book the folks that the gays wanted to see, Rosie was going to do it. So
exactly.
I guess I'll go. Mine is So Free Your Mind, I feel like we've seen Free Your Mind performed 5 million times, but like I love the SNL performance of Free Your Mind. And I think it's for a number of reasons. I think it's the band. I think like I really love the Matan always is going to bring up how the live component changes the thing. Everything. I mean, since first episode, that has been a good talking point because it changes it. Like, I think we're tired of we can predict the sort of like we've heard the track so many times. We know what it sounds like. And for such an energetic song, right. And so when it's live, it just changes everything. I think that what's really like wild about this performance is that they are like, it just looks like they're having so much fun with it. SNL is a big stage to be on, I think. It is now, and I know that it probably was then as well. And so they look good. They're kind of giving like these like long sleeve jacket dresses that are super short. The heels are high. Like Terry and Dawn have like the sleeves are like leather. It's giving attitude. And then the choreography, for us to have seen variations of it sort of over time, I think the choreography, like they just go in. The hair is moving. The hair is bobbing and weaving and doing all of the things that it needs to do. They are spinning. The kicks are high. It's just like, I don't know. Of all of the Free Your Mind performances we've seen, I feel like it is top tier. And to me, it gives the best essence of, I think, why I love En Vogue. And so it's not subtle. It's very over the top. And I appreciate that. It's just like the fierceness of En Vogue to me encapsulated in a performance on such a big stage. Yeah.
And the audience response, like I love when there's a good audience response because sometimes they are killing it and then the audience is kind of dead. And so that can kind of, I don't know, it doesn't make it a bad performance, but it just maybe kind of affects like my reaction to it or my perception of it. But when the audience gives it up and is into it and you hear like the cheering and the excitement, that, you know, kind of elevates it too. And in that performance, I just remember the audience being so into it and just giving it up for them when it was over. So that's another one.
Oh, sorry, but Matan, that's why I think your choice was so interesting. Cause like, I think the Free Your Mind performance, then they didn't even have an audience, did they?
Right, because of the pandemic, they did not have an audience.
And they went in.
It wasn't, yes!
Right, and then the response to that came, because now with social media and everything, like you can kind of see like the journalists were giving their opinions of the show, and you see like Entertainment Weekly, which is a respected magazine that's been around forever, saying that they had the best performance of the night. Like that, I guess, kind of was just like kind of confirmation, whereas other performances of like your pick and pretty much, well, some, you know, I don't know, because like that's why I try not to read YouTube comments, because it can kind of like make me see things that I didn't see, or kind of make me kind of consider things that might not necessarily be true. But like for the Soul Train the Soul Train performance where they did the old school medley, I just remember a comment saying the audience didn't give it up for them like they should have, like they didn't get a standing up, like why didn't they give them a standing ovation or something? So then I was like, why didn't they give them a standing ovation? So then I don't want to kind of think about that though, but then now I'm kind of forced to think about that. But when like you can just hear the audience going crazy, like it just adds to that 10 out of 10 perfection. So that's why that Free Your Mind SNL, that audience, and think about it, that probably wasn't even a single at that time, because I think maybe Funky Divas had just come out or what have you. So for it to be like a new song, you're kind of introducing it to like a mainstream audience on like a big platform, and to get that response, it's because your performance was great, not because people were familiar with it. So they did great.
So Jonathan, your top En Vogue performance.
this moment was, I think it was huge. It was pivotal. It was the first time En Vogue had all 4 original members had been together since like 1996. And it was at the VH1 Hip Hop Honors where they performed What a Man with Salt and Pepper.
Have you seen my man? He's about 6'2" with the light brown eyes. When it comes to putting it down, he knows what I like. He says all the right things, putting me in the mood. He knows exactly how to make me go shoot. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We like to dedicate this song to all the good men. We got any real men in the house tonight? Make some noise.
And I remember this moment. I remember being so excited and disbelief, like, this is not happening. This is not a test. This is not a drill. The original En Vogue is back together, and they did What a Man. They had a little intro in the beginning where they did a little a cappella number, and they had on their army fatigue assortment of outfits. And I remember Maxine had her blonde locks in, and it was just a very exciting time. And it's very nostalgic for me because I had been waiting for so many years to see the original ladies get back together, and it was a good performance. And we had never seen them perform What a Man before, so that was also really special because they never performed it.
Oh, I don't want to be disagreeable with that performance. I remember, like, that was college for me. I had to maybe my second or third year. I do remember watching Hip Hop Honors that year. I know Kanye was there. LL was there. I remember him bobbing his head to the performance. So I remember that, watching it when it aired. To me, the chemistry was off. The acapella was off. I remember, like, Don was very off in that acapella. So I was like, ooh. And then, I don't know, like, they just seemed so out of energy. A lot of times it was like I liked some of the choreography, but there was just something very off about the performance. And I know, like, I think at that time, Cindy's, I think one of her children might have been sick, because they gave an interview and they said that she, was at the hotel with her baby for whatever reasons. They just all seemed kind of tired. John tried to pick it up, but it seemed like she was the only one singing at certain points. So when I watch it, I don't know. I can't get into that one. Like, if it was the Alicia Keys, like, they looked like that was a little bit more, concise to me.
The performance for me, it was exciting because it was En Vogue reunited. That was why. I don't think that I was expecting much, because I felt like with What a Man, it's salt and pepper. You know what I mean? But that definitely was like an iconic moment to kind of see them all back together as, full grown women, burying the hatchet and trying to create a new era, I wish I did go to their tour, but I never did. But yeah. And it was kind of, and I remember, like, watching clips of them, I think in those same outfits, by the way, on tour, and seeing them perform whatever with Dawn. I was like, oh, that's so cool, because I know that, she was on that album, but then was taken off because she left or whatever. So it was kind of cool to see her, perform these songs with them in an era that she wasn't really a part of. And them doing that signature, like, hip flex, da, 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 da. I was like, come on, hips! Move the hips! I love that movement. It's so cute, but I think it's so simple. And it's, like, so cool, like, seeing them all, like, bop their hip at the same time to the music when it comes in. It's so cute to me.
Frank Gatton said, yes. Boom Cat, what's her name? Lorianne Gibson choreographed whatever. I didn't know that.
Wow.
So there is this performance. I don't know what it was on. I think it was MTV. It was like maybe like a sponsored thing, but it was En Vogue performing whatever, and it was like a full choreographed performance. They had like a whole 16 count choreographed intro, and I was like, where I was like, where did this come from? Do y'all know what I'm talking about? Y'all know
No,
what I'm talking about?
what is it?
I'm like, I have to find it. And it's whatever. And it's like, I'm like, wait, they have like full choreography throughout the entire song. But I felt like it was like when the song first came out, because I promise you, every performance after that choreography was cut.
Right.
It was a lot. I'm like, dang, they have to be out of breath.
Champ, you have to find that performance.
I don't know if it was like a Pepsi thing or like a McDonald's thing, but I remember seeing them, and it was like a pre-recorded stage. They were on a sound stage, the three of them. But yeah, it was like, and I was like, why didn't they do the choreography on all their other performances? Why is it just this one?
Do you remember how they looked?
Yeah, it was definitely their EV3 look where Cindy had the messy hair. Max was rocking braids at the time, I believe, or maybe her hair was short. I'm gonna find it. I have to find it because I was like, "What's this choreography that I never seen before?" But like on me doing my deep dive into En Vogue, I found it. So I'm gonna see if I can find it and send it to you guys, listeners. If you know what I'm talking about, please comment on something so we know what it is, so I don't go crazy trying to find it.
So I'm looking at YouTube and I'm seeing like a late night show performance where they are definitely doing some choreography in the beginning that I hadn't seen them do before.
Is it Letterman?
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen that one.
Okay, I haven't seen that one. It wasn't like a live televised, like it was like a pre-recorded like sound stage. It was just them and the camera or whatever, just them three.
Because I just want to say like that choreography, like I have to agree with like what everyone was saying, particularly JP when he said like he didn't really like maybe he couldn't really appreciate whatever when it first came out. That's definitely me. I remember I was probably 1997, maybe 11. And I just remember thinking, ooh, I didn't like seeing them like that. Like, I'm used to seeing them be these beautiful vamps with, and so like with the pale makeup and the way they were moving. And I remember like it came on at my aunt's house and she's like super religious. So she was just like, I can't get with En Vogue. So I just, there was just like, this kind of like negative feeling I had towards the video. And now it's probably my favorite because I can appreciate the high fashion and the choreography and the styling, just the makeup, the hair, everything about it. And I think Babyface and Giuliano Franco did a great job with the track, making it so haunting because I know there's several versions and I like a lot of the remixes of it. I love the Tawate remix. But I couldn't appreciate it at the time. Now I can't. And like the choreography, like I would love to see the full choreography because that's why sometimes I like lip sync performances just because you can see the full choreography. That one, like, well, I'll never know, what they were doing when the director cut from it. So please, if you could find that, send it to me.
So let's get to some letters, folks. So, if you have questions, comments, or anecdotes, please email them to us at partofusevf@gmail.com, and we will read them in an upcoming episode.
So just as we love you, we're going to move on to a letter from Daryl. And it says, I'm enjoying the podcast. You're approaching the discussions from different points of view, and that makes for an interesting listen. I just finished listening to episode 2, and Josh, Born to Sing, not an iconic album cover? Come on, bro. It's the definition of iconic. 4 golden sisters in clean, crisp white outfits, lounging on the beach as the sun sets, bathing them in golden light, looking classy and sexy as all get out, and En Vogue written in red in that iconic font accompanied by the title Born to Sing. Hell yeah, you were ladies. It's bold, classy, cool, eye-catching. I'm sorry, but I strongly disagree that it's not an iconic album cover. All right, I said my piece, Darrow. Now,
I have to respond.
Okay, you go first.
I said what I said.
The end.
And
it is giving Easter Sunday. It is giving church. I said what I said.
Look, and I was not present on that episode, so I will back him up and say that I don't think that the cover is iconic either. I never have liked it. I think that it's very underwhelming when your name is En Vogue, especially when you think about the explanation of how they found the girls and the statement they wanted to make with this girl group. I felt like that cover was very underwhelming. It looks very Christian pop, very Hillsong United, very BB and CC Winans Christmas album. It's not giving for me. I felt like the women have much more iconic photo shoots that white on the beach thing.
And they're not evenly, like, it's not evenly yoked. Like, Dawn is giving it to the girls, face-wise, and Max is giving it to him. And then poor Terry in the back just caught up in the wind.
She doesn't look like herself.
It's just not. It's just not.
Harpo? Who was that?
It's just not. It's not.
I promise you, when I saw that cover, I thought that they had another member. I promise you. And I was like, wait, but she was in the video. Is there another member in the group? Like, I was like, who is this woman? It didn't look like Maxine at all. So.
Did y'all see that? What was that album? Like, what was the album cover? It was like some rinky dink, like.
Oh, Live in Alabama.
It was like Live in the USA or something, where they photoshopped Amanda's face onto Max's body. They've been doing these ladies dirty over the years anyway.
It sucks. It really does suck. I hate it. I will say that speaking of photo shoots, I did love that one shoot where they looked like Stepford Wives. It was Cindy, Terry, and Rona in those like little polka dot 1940s like Lucille Ball outfits.
Yes.
They look great in those outfits.
Troy Jensen.
And even
that's why it looks good. Yes, he did it.
It looked great, but they've had some bops and some flops, and the Born to Sing album cover is a floppity flip flip flop flop flop.
Okay, so I just want to recap. So,
thanks, Daryl.
That's that then, Daryl.
No.
I was going to say, so the issue with it is the outfits and the fact that like Terry looks like she's kind of just caught up in the rapture somewhere where everyone else is. Like, so it's that kind of like lack of, consistency between each member of what they're giving.
My main issue is that it's not giving what the brand says it's supposed to give. That's my issue. If you say high fashion, beauty, iconic, edgy, that is not the album cover that you are giving me. Did you guys like the what is it, the insert and they having like the sweater dresses, kind of the brown stuff? Did you like that?
I just feel like they were giving some kind of palatable like I don't know why they were like everything else in that era is fly to me. Like,
Born to Sing?
Like I think like a lot of like not everything, but like largely the rest of it is a different vibe than that album cover to me. Like I don't know, it just feels like the imagery that I think of when I think of Born to Sing, especially like music videos, etc., gives a tad more edgy and a little less all women in white. And they're literally like, they're so covered. Like everything is just like a sea of white fabric. And I'm just like, this is not matching what, like, Hold On as a lead single is just not giving me, like, I don't know. It's just not matching up.
Okay.
Yes.
Everybody's like it's been said a couple of times, like we're all different opinions and every opinion has been respected. And so that's kind of cool. We can disagree about these things. Exactly. It's wonderful. The album cover ain't gonna change. I gotta live with it.
It's old. It is what it is.
Cool. So our last letter comes from Michael Hamilton. Michael says, "What's up, guys? I'm loving the podcast and I'm a longtime fan of En Vogue. I've been with them since the beginning. I know the next episode will be about Dawn and I'm very excited to hear your insights and perspectives. Question. I've heard Dawn contradict herself a lot over the years. When Masterpiece Theater came out, I remember her kind of ragging on the album. Then years later, I heard her say that it was a beautiful album. In that same interview, I believe she said when the group recorded Don't Let Go, she was already cut out of the group, or she was already out of the group. not the story that she has been told over the years. Am I wrong? Can you all shed some light on the timeline? He wants the receipts.
Okay, well, I think JP looks like he wants to take it.
Here's the thing. When it comes to all of them, I feel like the timeline is always scattered. And I've heard that, I mean, when I've heard Dawn say things, Max say things, even Cindy and Terry, it's all very contradictory to me, even depending on what story they want to tell at the time. Like, I remember when they got back together after, I think, the BET thing, and they did, like, they were doing different things. And there's this interview, I think, were they on A&E or something like that?
Private session.
Yeah, and it was like they told some story about, you know, why they broke. Like, I feel like the story is always a little bit different. There's always some inaccuracies, or there's always like different things here and there. So, yeah, I've heard them all say a lot of contradictory things over the years. I do remember Dawn talking about she didn't like Masterpiece Theater. I don't recall her saying she liked it, but, you know, she gave so many interviews over the last year. I don't know. I have no idea what she said as of late.
And memory can be spotty. I mean, like, there's certain things, and like maybe because, you know, sometimes fans know more of the actual facts, and on this date this happened, and this is track number 3 on this album. Like, a fan might know that more so than the artist, because the artist is touring and the artist has all kind of other things, and just outside of the actual artistry, there's families and all kind of other stuff going on. But I know I've asked Cindy questions on via Cameo, and like, she didn't realize that Love Don't Love You was a single. She didn't realize that No Fool No More was a single. But with the Dawn question specifically, I do remember her saying around the time it came out, because if you have to remember, Lucy Pearl and Masterpiece Theater were released the exact same day. And so, I mean, she won in that regard. In 2000, she had definitely won, because Masterpiece Theater, I think it debuted at 67. And then, you know, the following week, it was somewhere down in the pits of hell. It just ended En Vogue's career as mainstream recording artist. And I'm so sad that happened. So I don't like that record for that reason, but there's other reasons I don't like it, which maybe one day we'll get into it. But I know that there was one of her fans on social media who always just talked about how much he loved Masterpiece Theater and how he wished Dawn was on Masterpiece Theater. And I think she responded saying, oh, you know, I would have liked to have been on the record. So maybe she was, you know, sometimes like you'll say stuff to like appease someone, like, oh, this person keeps, you know, saying on my timeline how much he wishes I was on the record, and what I would have done is let me just say, oh, it's a beautiful record, I wish I was on it, just so, you know, maybe the person will leave me alone. Then as far as Don't Let Go, yeah, I do feel like with the breakup, that's always going to be contentious, just because I feel like she doesn't own up to her wanting to go solo. I just feel like she tries to make it about the girls wanting her out or about money, but you know, you wanted to go solo and it didn't work. Just say that.
One thing I will say is that we all know that Dawn suffers from a sad case of FOMO. You know, a lot of the things that she says about the group, whether it's past or present, if you read between the lines, is really just her saying, I wish I was a part of that. That's literally all she's saying. Like, even when she did the whole interview on TMZ about the En Vogue Christmas movie, it's kind of like, sis, just say you wanted to be a part of the movie. It's okay. But I feel like she's trying to maintain some form of pride and dignity to say, well, this isn't right, or they did this wrong. It's like, no, sis, you're not a part of the group. And we're going to continue without you because we are still a group. But it's like, if you want to be a part of everything, if you wish you were still a part, then just say that. But maybe, I feel like if she does say that, she may have to be accountable for her part and the reason why she is not a part. So I feel like it's definitely her saving face. But I feel like her contradicting herself is a manifestation of her just sad that she isn't a part of the current En Vogue era. And you still could be. You still could be. But I don't think that you
JP, what you gotta say, JP?
I don't think that she will.
JP is so funny because JP has a tail. JP goes.
He does. He's building it up.
It's not easy being a Dawn fan.
So I'm wrong, JP. So I'm wrong.
I think that, again, when you talk about legacy and what you've created, I definitely think she wants to be a part of it because she helped to build and she was an integral part of the legacy of En Vogue. But I think it's more about the legacy aspect as opposed to like, I want to sing with Cindy and Terry and Rona. You know what I'm saying? I think it's more like, when you look back at your life and what you've done and what you've built, that is the most successful part of her life. So of course there's going to be a part of you that wants to profit off of that. So I'm sure I think it's more about that as opposed to like, I just want to sing with y'all. Like, I don't think it's that sentimental or that like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it's that.
I agree with that for sure. I agree with that for sure.
I don't think it's for the sake of singing with them. I think it's for the sake of like the brand, like all the opportunities that she's missing out, like, you know, not being featured on an album with Chance the Rapper, not having a movie on Lifetime, you know, not doing the Billboards twice in a row, like not, you know, doing the 25-year reunion. Like there's just stuff that En Vogue is doing, currently, being on the Coming to America 2 movie, like that she is not a part of, that I feel like she wants to be a part of, she wishes she was a part of, but the drama is so far gone you can't. So it's like, well, you can only resort to petty shade and YouTube blog press tours to get your story heard. And it's kind of like, sis, what's the point of this? Let them have their moment and you create your own.
Well, I think it's because, like, right now, like,
why
sure,
am I going En Vogue right now? I'm so sorry.
En Vogue has had, like, obviously, like, new opportunities, like the Chance the Rapper thing, like, you know, they dropped Electric Cafe, like, sure, but, like, so much of their bread and butter and so much of their visibility is around, like, legacy, and that is the thing, like, the mixtape tour is a legacy. Like, it's about what's been built by all of those artists. And so I can imagine, and I can feel sympathetic to that to a degree. Like, it would suck to know, like, I have, given all of this energy and time and built something with these women and I can't profit off of it, but I also can't even get the flowers. Like I can't even go on, you know, the Billboard Awards or, you know, whatever and sing the song that I sang over and over and over and over and over again for years and be recognized as a part of an iconic group with these other women.
Well,
and that's
make it work, sis. Make it work.
But, you know, that's a business
but the thing. I thought that was just so hurtful that I felt a certain level of like hurt for her when she talked about how how the red dresses were in the Black History Museum in DC, and she was like, her and Maxine didn't even get any type of invitation or anything to even, you know, they didn't get any type of opportunity to be there. And it's like, they wore those dresses like that. Those red dresses are iconic because of Cindy, Dawn, Terry, and Maxine. And I'm like, damn, like you couldn't even get an invite.
Oh, that's true.
A letter to be like, come on out to look at these dresses. Like that would hurt my feelings on a different level.
I do remember there being like some like special where it was, I don't know if it was like a YouTube video or like an Instagram video where they were in Cindy's garage and she was going through like memorabilia and those red dresses were in boxes. And I was like, why does Cindy have all four dresses?
Well,
I'm like, why? You don't want to
they hustled on about that. They hustled out the group. She had something
but see, it wasn't her garage. It was public storage. But that's what to go back to kind of the climax thing when Cheryl Cooley was like, "Well, I trademarked the name because I was the only one left, and when you left, there was all these bills and all these things that I had to pay. So why maybe Cindy, you know, and Terry, like just think how much they're paying for storage to store the stuff. If you know, they know their group members better than we do. If we left this with so and so, maybe they'd be." Moth would have ate it and it would have been lost and all kind of stuff. So I think, well, I can't say 100%. It just seems to me like the most responsible, the people that you know are going to get the business handled are Cindy and Terry. They might not even be the closest. And sometimes it's not about who you're closest to, but it's like, okay, we have to get this done. I know that I can work with this person, so I'm going to stick with this person. I know that this person is going to make sure the checks are deposited on time, that this is done, that the promoter gets this and that the band gets this. It's not going to be any issues. You saw how when Maxine and Don got together, there was all this, well, the promoter didn't pay me and I think you did it. There's just always this messiness, and when you start separating people and you see where the mess still is, you have to kind of see that.
Hello.
And then
I'm not mad at that, but I'm just saying y'all could have sent an e-bite and be like, "Girl, this is happening. Like, we're not gonna pay for your flight or your hotel room, but this is an e-bite. Let you know
if you can get here,
we'll
give security your name at the gate.
We'll put you on the list. And if you can make your way down.
Damn. Group breakups really do suck. They really do suck.
Look at Sister Sledge. They're sisters. And who was the lead singer of Sister Sledge? Kathy Sledge. She just toured that Sister Sledge by herself. And the other two, so there's always going to be something. My thing is, have your business in order. Don, you messed up when you signed your rights away. You really can't say anything. And I get the kind of the courtesy thing. But if every time, we get together, then all of a sudden you're talking about me and what I didn't do, I don't want to hear that. So I wouldn't want to interact with you. That's me. They did that Sylvia Rhone thing together. Then a year later, there's all these YouTube interviews about what I didn't do and what this person.
Well, and on top of it.
And looking at Cindy and Terry, they're very aware of what they say. And so for me, I feel like at least when it comes to Dawn, I feel like there is a lot that they can combat Dawn with, but they choose not to. All the interviews that Dawn does, all the tweets that she does. I feel like if Cindy and Terry were about that life, that they can combat the things that she says and be like, well, girl, remember this? Remember this conversation? Remember this meeting? Remember this conference call? That would really be like, oh, really? That's how you are? So I feel like there's a lot that can be said. And I feel like she does these things because they won't.
They know it compromises the bag.
Exactly.
They know it compromises the brand.
Exactly.
They know that the minute that they engage in the mess, that's when a blog is going to pick it up. And that's when everybody's reminded that the current En Vogue is not original En Vogue, and it brings all of this stuff back into the forefront, and they can't go just tour. And so, but I give them credit because they have stayed consistent with the talking point that the door is open. Whether the door is actually open is for somebody else to decide.
It's open with conditions.
They have publicly said over and over and over again that never say never. They leave it vague, and I feel like if any of those women decided, we saw it with the Sylvia Rhone thing, they didn't have to. I don't know how that was arranged, but they didn't have to show up. Cindy and Terry didn't have to show up, and Rona didn't have to. You know what I mean? It could have been. It could have not been, but they have, in my opinion, at least from my vantage point, made it a point to keep it vague because they know the strength in if they were to come back as all of them.
And they know that more opportunities will present itself.
For sure.
If the original lineup was all together, a lot more doors would open in mainstream because unfortunately general audiences are still harping on the original lineup, which I understand, but it's don't burn the bridge. So I feel like, at some point, maybe something can happen between them two.
Well, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon, Music Podcasts, and YouTube.
For more En Vogue related content, find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at En Vogue Craze. and on Twitter at partofusfancast.
Comments or questions can be sent to partofusevf@gmail.com. That's partofusevf@gmail.com.
Special thanks to all the co-hosts, and thank you all for joining for another episode. And I'm Josh. You can find me on social media at Josh Jinx, and I'll let my other co-hosts tell you where you can find them.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at It's Champ Johnson.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Everybody Loves JP.
My YouTube channel is Your Little Dog 2 on YouTube. I haven't added anything new. Oh, well, I did, but it's not En Vogue. But still check it out.
Cool. So until next time, folks, this has been Part of Us, an En Vogue Fancast. See y'all next time. Bye.
This episode of Part of Us, an En Vogue Fancast was researched, written, produced, and edited by Matthew at Culture Inject Productions. The intro and outro music was produced by Wolves and Vincent Tone. We're more than just a podcast. We're a fan community. You can keep up to date on En Vogue and chat with other fans by visiting En Vogue Craze on Facebook. You can also follow us on YouTube and Instagram at En Vogue Craze and Twitter at Part of Us Fancast. Part of Us, an En Vogue Fancast, is not endorsed by En Vogue, E1 Music, or En Vogue Records, and is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. En Vogue and its names, images, and audio clips are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective copyright holders.